you said to me, every word was a lie.
Pretty much.
Strange events ripple across the Caribbean. The world of pirates teeters on the edge of chaos, with one name etched in ancient parchment, Calypso. This is where our ScreenRant Pirates of the Caribbean 6 idea begins. So avast ye lubbers and listen to a tale we created rooted in franchise lore.
You all right?
I don't know. For a moment, I had everything, Henry.
The story opens on the familiar waters of the Caribbean, where Henry Turner now captains the Resolute, a modest but steadfast merchant ship crewed by loyal sailors. Married to Karina, the two live a life not dissimilar to his parents before he broke the curse of the seas. His journeys take him far and wide, but he always returns to his wife after his ship lands back in port. But their happiness is short-lived. One fateful evening, as the couple reunite in port under a crimson sky, they are ambushed by Calypso's ghostly forces. The sea goddess, enraged by Henry's role in breaking the curses of the ocean and setting Will Turner free of the Flying Dutchman, demands retribution. Her army captures Karina, declaring her a sacrificial penance for disrupting the order of the seas. Calypso's parting words haunt Henry. If he wishes to see his wife again, he must abandon all hope and accept the ocean's wrath. But Henry, determined and fueled by love, resolves to defy the sea goddess. He immediately sets to work, rifling through his old research to find any clue as to where Karina has been taken or how to defeat Calypso, when he learns of a place that holds an artifact known as the Maelstrom Compass. This relic is said to grant its bearer control over the seas themselves, thus taking control of Calypso. Henry gathers his crew and charts a course for Isla de Avaros, the remote island that is rumored to house the legendary relic. Meanwhile, Elizabeth Swann governs Port Royal with grace and strength, as Will has returned to the life of a smith and swordmaker. They get word of Karina's kidnapping and learn of Henry's plans to rescue her. With Will's knowledge of the seas and their secrets, he knows of the compass, and the couple set sail for Isla de Avaros. Whether to help him or stop him, they still aren't sure. Meanwhile, Henry's journey to Isla de Avaros is anything but smooth. His ship is attacked by the dread captain Serena Malvado, a new antagonist who commands the ship Tempest, a vessel cursed with the undead, forced to drift the seas now that the Dutchman is no more. Malvado serves as Calypso's enforcer in her mission to stop anyone from claiming the Maelstrom Compass. After a fierce battle, Henry's crew barely escapes, but not without heavy losses. Henry and what's left of his crew are set adrift among the remnants of their destroyed ship. As Henry begins to drift out of consciousness, he hears Karina talking to him, willing him to not give up. As her voice fades, he hears another familiar one. Coming back to consciousness, he sees a Port Royal government ship drawing near. He is pulled aboard along with the remaining survivors and reunites with his parents. Despite their arguments for staying away from Isla de Avaros, Elizabeth and Will finally agree to help Henry, and the ship sets course. When the crew arrive on the shores of the island, they find that it is shrouded in an eerie fog, and an ominous dark jungle sits at its center. It grows in an unnatural swirling pattern, as if the trees themselves were a whirlpool. The light of the island seems permanently stuck between dusk and twilight. The party tread carefully as they stumble through the undergrowth, looking for any clues that will lead them to the artifact. The deeper they head into the trees, the stranger the island becomes. The fog thickens, making it almost impossible to see. Distant screams echo around Henry as his fellow explorers seem to be taken by an invisible force. As they near the center, a small ancient altar appears in a clearing. It is covered in intricate carvings depicting the sea's myths. Among these is a depiction of the Maelstrom Compass, radiating an ominous light, and on the altar itself a small metal case. As the Turners approach the clearing, swarms of Malvado's crew appear, and a fight of swashbuckling proportions ensues. Henry reaches for the compass case before Calypso's army can take it, but during the scuffle, Malvado manages to capture Elizabeth, and the undead crew vanish like specters. She is taken aboard the Tempest and imprisoned, bait to lure Henry and Will into Calypso's web. Still in the clearing, Will and Henry are distraught and argue, though upset, Henry has faith that with the relic, they can still defeat Calypso and rescue Elizabeth and Karina. But when he opens the small metal case, he discovers there is no compass inside. They return to the ship, disheartened and lost. As the night draws in, Henry inspects the case more and discovers that it is lined with a small piece of parchment. As he pulls it from the case, he realizes it has been precisely torn from a much larger map, and over the contours of land, the name Calypso is written. Taking the map from the wall of the ship, Henry is able to place the parchment over it and discover where the location of Calypso lies. He knows that this will be where the compass truly resides. He wakes Will to have the crew set sail immediately. As they sail together, tensions rise between father and son. Will tries to impart the lessons he's learned about sacrifice and duty, but Henry's youthful idealism blinds him to the dangers of his quest. Their relationship becomes a central emotional thread, highlighting the generational conflict at the story's heart. When the Port Royal ship finally reaches the reading place of the compass, the crew finds themselves besieged by Malvado's ghostly forces once more. The island itself seems alive, shifting its terrain to trap the intruders. Henry and Will fight side by side, their bond strengthening as they overcome each obstacle. Meanwhile, Elizabeth, reunited with Carina, begins to plan for their own escape. As the Turner's crew fight Malvado, Calypso herself appears, her form both mesmerizing and terrifying, an embodiment of the sea's fury. As she towers above them, Henry notices a small glistening around her finger, the Maelstrom Compass. He must fight Calypso to get it from her. In the ensuing chaos, Carina and Elizabeth use the distraction to break out of prison and navigate the labyrinth-like ruins they find themselves in, and the horrors that they must fight past. The climax reaches its peak when Calypso unleashes a massive storm, summoning towering waves and sea creatures to destroy the land. As she focuses on her wrath, Henry is able to reach her hand, slicing off her finger that the compass sits on. Leaping down from her now flailing arm, he grabs the compass and runs into shelter. As he goes to use it, he hesitates. His decision could reshape the future of the seas, for better or worse. In a moment of clarity, he realizes that freedom doesn't come from control, but from acceptance. Henry destroys the compass, defying Calypso and breaking her hold over the mortal world. Elizabeth and Carina find their way to the battle as Calypso is defeated. She transforms into a burst of storm clouds, and a heavy rain falls on the land. With Calypso's controls broken, he and his crew fade, having to face a new fate worse than death. As the storm subsides, the Port Royal ship sails away from Calypso's stronghold, carrying the surviving crew and the Turner's victory. The land crumbles into the sea, its secrets lost forever. The film ends on a reflective note. Elizabeth and Will return to Port Royal, where they become advocates for sailors' rights, establishing a legacy of compassion and justice. Henry, now a seasoned captain, chooses to create his own merchant business and commands a fleet of ships from the safety of shore. He and Carina live a comfortable, happy life. The legacy of the Turners, Calypso, and the sea's magic lives on, inviting audiences to imagine what lies beyond the horizon. What other mysteries does the ocean hold? And what new legends are waiting to be born? Our ScreenRant plot for Pirates of the Caribbean 6 delivers a story of love, sacrifice, and the eternal allure of the unknown, staying true to the spirit of the franchise while carving a bold new path forward. What are your thoughts? What are your ideas for the 6th movie? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe to ScreenRant to keep up to date with all movie news.